Happy Devils Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan Address, episode 54, titled Hockey Talk, because we got an awesome guest tonight from NBC Sports Pro Hockey Talk, Joey Alfieri. I think that's how we pronounce it. Coming on to the State of the Fan Address. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Nick Villano, Pucks and Pitchforks blog editor-in-chief. We got a great podcast, all powered by Nova Product Design from Primetime Radio, and now simulcasting on the Primetime Radio network. Nick, there's a lot to talk about today. Hockey talk, resuming the season. I think everybody's got the itch right now. The society is just slowly opening up. Rumors. Where should we start?
There's obviously we've been starting with most of the time talking about how the rumors of the restart and when hockey might come back and how this will impact the Devils. And obviously, we're going to start with that again because we had a lot of new news on that. And we don't have a ton of new news on the Devils because, last week we had the Gerard Gallant interview, so that was nice. And we also had the Ty Domi Scott Stevens fight that was mostly one-sided, which is how most fights go with Ty Domi. But, most of the news has to do with how the season's going to restart and how that's going to impact next season. Now, I want to focus now on how it's going to impact next season, 2020, 2021, because that's what we actually care about. I know people want to see hockey right now, and they just want sports back in their life, and they want Devils hockey back in their life. Feel like they got cheated out of a couple good games. Sam, you and me got cheated out of the Florida trip. We didn't get to go see two really good games there. So I get it. We want the season to come back, but you're not going to see competitive Devils hockey in the next couple months because there's nothing to play for. There's no playoffs on the horizon. There's the Devils season, no matter how they do the playoff matchups, unless they do all 31 teams getting in it, and they're not going to do that because they don't have the time. It's too late to do something like that. That would push it into August, September. Now, the latest that I saw from, I believe it was The Athletic, he's reporting that the NHL is discussing a plan that would start the 2020-21 season in December. That means, Sam, we're still 6.5 months, maybe 7 months away from competitive New Jersey Devils hockey. And who knows what that team's going to be like, Sam? We don't know what they need to make a lot of additions in the offseason if they want to be competitive. But even Devils hope, maybe we could surprise some people and make the playoffs. Maybe we can push for competitive hockey. Maybe we could push the Rangers and the Flyers and the Blue Jackets for that last seed. Look at the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets are going to be the worst team in the division this year, and they're fighting for a playoff spot. Maybe we could be that team next year. But instead of getting that in October or even September for training camp, now we have to wait till December. We have to wait till December to find out if Ty Smith made the right moves to get himself into the Devils lineup. We have to wait till December to see if Jack Hughes is going to gain the kind of weight that Nico Hischier did this season, going to make a similar jump. These are what we have to wait for, and I'm not a fan of waiting that long for the 2020-2021 season to start.
Yeah, you know what? It is what it is. Right now I'm kind of saddened that we didn't finish up the season. I'm very interested on how these conditional picks are being played out. To me, that is that's very important because being a Devils fan, that's, I would like to have 3 first-round picks in what even Tom Fitzgerald has said is a very strong first-round deep draft. This team needs some young more young talent, which would be great, especially on defense. So, with that said, Nick, I think I'm interested in seeing how the NHL does it. Now, I don't think anybody's going to be happy. I don't think you can satisfy all 31 cities. There's no way. I mean, some of the talk that you're seeing, four cities, and I don't know how they're going to pull it off. I hate to be Gary Bettman and Bill Daly right now trying to figure this thing out. There's no right or wrong answer, but at the same time, I just don't want the New Jersey Devils and my team to lose a pick out of it, So I don't know. I or pick positioning or whatever the conditions are. So, but yeah, it should be interesting. Oh, you cracked open a beer, huh?
Cheers. This one's pretty good. It's like a watermelon shandy. It's got a taste of summer. And since we're all stuck inside, I don't know if it's summer, winter, fall. Well, I live in Florida. It's always summer here. But, the little taste of summer. It was 90 degrees last week, Sam. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you live in Florida, right? You get to enjoy that. And although it is starting to get beautiful in New Jersey. I mean, there were some days where it's like 65 degrees. You walk out, of course, social distancing with your mask on, and just walking around, getting a little sunshine, a little exercise. But getting back to the New Jersey Devils, Facebook Live, I mean, Benji Stone always writes, "We win the cup next year." I like that positivity. Stacey White says hello. George Hinshaw's there. Your cat's there. I can hear your cat in the background.
Yeah, you can hear the cat. He's always. They're both here. You can here. We've. Let me see if I can. I don't want to mess with the camera, but Widow's over there, but she's sleeping. She's taking a nap, so she's never made a podcast appearance. But Batman likes the screen time. He likes to make an appearance, whether by sound or by picture. He just loves being on the podcast. And you know what, Sam? Why not? I mean, even cats love the New Jersey Devils.
Really? I thought we were a dog-friendly, well, actually, we're pet-friendly podcast. We've had dogs on the podcast.
We are a pet-friendly thing.
Yeah, Rebecca Morse almost had her dog come on. I believe Scotty on the Let's Go Devils podcast Sunday night had dog come on. And then also Ken Danico had his dog come on. So, we're
nice.
all pet friendly, whatnot. But also, with the New Jersey Devils, again, you hear fans chattering on social media about, is Nasreddine going to be the coach? I want Gallant. Is Fitzgerald? Is he going to have the intern tag off? Nasreddine deserved it, I think. You hearing all that. I just, what? Do you think the Devils will make the move soon, or what are they waiting for? I mean, Tom Fitzgerald, he's doing whatever he can at the moment, right? I mean, he's just with the mindset that I'm going to be here for a while, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. If you're not sold on the GM, why are you interviewing coaches? Why are you bringing in Gallant? And not even just any coaches. It's not like you brought in, the assistant coach of the Edmonton Oilers just to kind of get some reps in interviewing, because I do that. I mean, you should be doing that when you're looking for jobs, and you should be doing that when you're trying to hire out for jobs. You should be getting some reps in, kind of seeing the questions they ask, kind of seeing any hang-ups they might have about your team, so you can kind of get those ideas in. But Gerard Gallant isn't that coach. Gerard Gallant's the guy that you want to hire. He's should be the top name on your list. Now, I will tell you this, Sam. I thought the Devils were going to wait as long as possible, because I thought that I've said it before. I haven't been shy about it. I think the perfect coach for the New Jersey Devils right now is John Cooper. He knows how to deal with stars. He knows how to get people to buy in. He knows how to build the team. And I thought there was a good chance that the Lightning were going to fire him if he didn't really succeed this year, because they're about to get into cap hell. And there's no real looking back. And he had a good 4 or 5 seasons of Lightning teams that just I mean, their expectations were through the roof. But I mean, when you get swept by the 8th seed, Sam, there's going to be some question marks and some issues arise. And say they matched up with the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round, thought there was a chance the Lightning could lose. So I thought they might be waiting for somebody like that, or maybe a surprise happens. Maybe somebody who, I mean, Gallant is already a surprise. I mean, this season's been full of surprise coaching firings. So I don't know how many more we can afford. But maybe there is a surprise out there that the Devils, saw somebody that they would have really liked. But again, you have to think that the GM is making those decisions. And Fitzgerald's still an interim. It's been January, February. It's been 4 months. And I don't know, maybe they're waiting until the end of the season. Maybe they're waiting until everything kind of calms down and everybody kind of gets a little bit of semblance of normalcy, because they know if they hire somebody right now or if they fire somebody, it's number one news everywhere because nothing else is going on. I mean, every time PK Subban does an interview with Lindsey Vaughn, it seems to make news just because and he's not even saying anything. It's just something else to talk about. So, which isn't true because if the fans of Pucks and Pitchforks have seen, Pucks and Pitchforks has been churning out some really good pieces, Sam. I don't know if you saw it yet, but I think you'd be really interested in the piece that Mike Lucci, frequent guest on the podcast, he wrote this piece on the Devils trades that never happened, talking about how
I did see that.
Mark Messier almost became a New Jersey Devil, and Teemu Solani, the circumstances that went into him not becoming a New Jersey Devil. I know I'm going all over the place, Sam, but I'm just, I'm excited to talk about sports. I'm sick of talking about the coronavirus, so I'm just excited to come here and talk some hockey with you.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of coronavirus, one of the things that I miss doing, now I did go to the Bahama Breeze. Remember that Florida trip right after the shutdown? People, the next day, we were supposed to be at Thunder Alley before Devils Lightning game at Amalie Arena in Thunder Alley, right in front of the entrance of the building. Like, I can't wait to get back to get back to there, and we will do that. We establish a friendly relationship with the Tampa Bay Lightning about that, but I think I should get our guest on the hotline soon. So, Nick, why don't you talk to the people that call themselves New Jersey Devils fans?
Oh, is that what they call themselves? That's good. I'm glad that they call themselves that. I'm trying to find this on the phone. We got to do it a new way because we had a slight issue with the interwebs. So now I'm looking at all the comments on the phone, but I'm bad at this. I'm not good at technology, so I'm just gonna wing it. But speaking of, I want to go back to the topic at hand. The New Jersey Devils playing December hockey. That means that we also have to wait till September to get our free agent picks in and to kind of see the big trades, the big offseason trades that the Devils have been known for the past couple of seasons. It's just a lot of waiting until we're happy as Devils fans. And there's going to be that preliminary, we're just happy hockey is back. And that's going to be nice. I'm going to watch every Devils game that they give us. I'm going to probably watch as many hockey games as humanly possible when they bring it back. Another thing, a side note on the hockey thing, I believe they said that they're looking into, and this just came out a couple hours ago, so I didn't read too much up on it, but I believe they said that they were looking at opening some arenas up to practicing some hockey in May. That'd be nice. Am I a little worried that we're going a little fast? I am, but that's for people who make a lot more money than me to decide. So I'm just gonna let them make those decisions. I have to imagine that these health professionals are making those decisions with them and are feeling them starting up the league. I mean, we've talked about these bubble scenarios where we get everybody in 6 or 7 hotels just buy out the hotel and leave all the hockey players there. I've said it before. I'll say it again. One bad date could take out 6 different teams. So I'm a little bit worried about the scenario. But I also think that, Sam, you came back. I see you're back. I was in the middle of a thought, but I lost it. But basically, I think that a lot of the situations here where the Devils would have to wait longer to get competitive hockey back on the ice, I think is bad for the fans, even though we're just happy to have hockey back.
Yeah. I would agree, but at the same time, I need something. I need some entertainment, right? But before we bring on our special guest, Joey Alfieri, big shout out to Bruce Driver. I texted him today. Happy birthday, Bruce. Today's his lucky day. He was telling me everything about his son cooked for him and gave him a haircut, everything. So Bruce Driver, legendary New Jersey Devil, happy birthday. He's doing great.
Big happy birthday, Bruce.
Yep. So our next guest is from NBC Sports Pro Hockey Talk. He's a writer there from the 514 area code. Pleased to welcome on the Nova Product Design Hotline, Joey Alfieri. Joey, you're on with Sam and Nick. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, man, but a haircut would sound good right about now. I need. I'm due. I'm the type of guy who needs a cut every 3-4 days. So I heard that Bruce got a haircut. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, I definitely understand. I'm showing the New Jersey Devils fans right now the long hair that I'm dealing with. I'm a little lucky because I got to get a haircut probably days before they closed them all. I got this nice little mom and pop shop that does it for me, so I got real lucky. So at least the sides and the back aren't too savage yet, but the top it's getting mullet length.
Well, I got a cut actually a couple of days before everything closed down as well. But my hair kind of grows out sideways more than it does at the top. I've got some hair at the top. Don't get me wrong, but it's just it's coming over my ears now, and it's got to be trimmed. So I'm thinking of taking a clipper to it really soon.
You don't trust the wife to give it a shot?
What has me kind of worried is that last week she was saying that she wanted no part of it because she was scared she was going to mess it up, and now this week she's looking at me. She's like, "Yeah, I could probably do that." I'm like, "Well, what changed over the course of a week?" But I don't know. I'm getting desperate, so she might have to take the clipper to it.
Yeah, the Devils fans could see me on camera. Fortunately, we got to take a headshot of you, and you get to talk behind the headshot. I got big grizzly red beard going on right now, and I get to wear a hat though, so I could kind of hide some of the dangly hair behind the hat. But enough talk about haircuts. We brought you on here to bring your expertise of hockey to the New Jersey Devils fans, and this is obviously an unprecedented time, Joey, and none of us know exactly how this is going to work. This isn't, we try to compare it to maybe lockout shortened seasons or, but it's unprecedented to have a season stop in the middle and then try to restart. But based on what you know about hockey players and the mindset that they have, how is a New Jersey Devils team that's out? It's pretty clear that they don't have, especially if they shorten the season. The playoff aspirations are nil, and if they shorten it, I believe it'll be just impossible. It'll be 0%. How are you going to get a guy like Travis Zajac or, some of these veterans that are still on this team? How are you going to get them to get up for those last, if there's 7 games that they end up playing left?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a tough situation they're in because I think the NHL more than say basketball I think they're going to push really hard to resume this season. I think they're going to be the league that kind of pushes the hardest out of all the major ones because they've got a good TV deal, but it's not great. So they're making, don't get me wrong, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars. The league is. But it's not as much as the NBA or the NFL or Major League Baseball. So I think they're going to push really hard. They might have to get creative if they want to resume this season. And that's the situation that, you mentioned I'm here in Montreal, and, the Canadians are ahead of the Devils, but, I think it was 0.1% chance right at right when this thing went on pause. So, how do you convince, the players that are out of it to come back and play? Because I don't see how you can come in and just kind of go straight into the playoffs after having a couple of months off. Like it doesn't make sense to me either. So they're going to have to find a creative solution. They're going to have to find a way to kind of make everybody happy. But, you're already starting to hear whispers of, players not necessarily keen with the idea of going out and being away from their family from a couple of months and playing neutral site games or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to get this done. I think, I realize that, nobody, trust me when I say this, nobody wants the season to be completed more than I do. But I think you might just have to scrap it. And it's easy for me, sitting in my living room to say that when I don't have millions and millions of dollars at stake. But I'm just looking at it from a, logistical standpoint. And it just, it doesn't make sense whether the teams that are out of it come back and play a handful of games just to go on summer break again. Or, teams that are really close to making the playoffs don't get an opportunity to play more regular season games. I'm like, it doesn't really make a ton of sense. But when there's millions of dollars at stake, people find a way to have it make sense. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, if that's what it's going to take, if teams are going to have to come back and teams that are out of it are going to have to come back and play, they're going to have to play just based on the fact that they're professionals and that they're earning a lot of money to do so.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting point that you're making about the money. And I kind of want to just build off that just real quick, because I think the money is something that's it affects the New Jersey Devils in a way that it doesn't almost any other team in the league, because the Devils obviously have billionaire owners. So I don't think spending is a problem for them. But I do think that profits are something that are very important to the team, and bottom line, definitely, just based on the people they've put in place and where they've put in those places, I feel like bottom line does matter to the Devils and Josh Harris and David Blitzer. But then at the same time, if the season does end, I mean, Joey, there's no way that the salary cap can go anywhere but down, right?
You would think so. But I wonder if you wouldn't see this is what I've been, I haven't really heard this mentioned too much, but I was kind of, I've been thinking, like, I know they've got the PA and the NHL have a lot to worry about and work on here before a season resumes. But the CBA is just, there's one more year on this CBA before they've got to reopen and renegotiate. And I just wondered if you wouldn't have both sides at some point when they realize, that the season is happening or not happening, if they wouldn't reopen the CBA a little early. And, maybe you tie in this weird situation to the next CBA where, I know last time there was a 24% rollback on contracts. And, I mean, I don't know if you get something similar, but then the players are compensated in a different way. I don't want to get into escrow and all that, fun math stuff. I don't want to bore people with that either. But, it's something that they're going to have to look at. But I just wonder if, they wouldn't tap into the CBA and say, hey, listen, you know what, you guys take a rollback on salaries. And, if there's something else that you want, if you want to go to the Olympics or if you want, another bye week or whatever, we can throw that in for you. So the players would win somehow. The owners would win with a rollback. General managers obviously have a little bit more cap space. But, yeah, I mean, there's no way the cap's going to go up if you've lost all this revenue, right? And I think we saw the talk right before the pause was that it was going to be able to go anywhere from 84 to 88.1 or something like that. And that's obviously not going to happen. But yeah, I think that's another, it'll be interesting to see how they do that. But I wonder, like I said, if they're going to, jump into CBA negotiations and try to get something done, because you do have Seattle coming. And I know that, the last thing you want to do after a pause is lock out again. So I feel like they have to maybe tap into that and figure out if they can, if they can find a way to roll back the salaries a little bit. I don't know, maybe you give teams amnesty buyouts again. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but it's tough to do. It's tough to negotiate these things when you're not even sure if the season's going to resume or not. So I think you'll see them make a decision on the season, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe reopen negotiations or talks with that CBA, like I've been saying.
That's the first I've heard of that, but that makes so much perfect sense. So I got to commend you. That's something that probably should happen. They probably should definitely use this to. I mean, you can't have a season pause because of a global pandemic and then a lockout 2 years later. You're going to lose too much. So I think that this is definitely a good time for this to just be labor peace. And, we saw labor peace in the NFL when all signs are pointing to, a very long, strong out fight. So maybe the NHL could learn from that and just find a happy medium. But no, that's a really good point. That's so I think that's definitely something that will help the money, because I was listening to Elliot Friedman talk about the escrow and all that, and the numbers make your head spin, and you kind of realize that they don't actually make as much money as you thought. So it's crazy. It's crazy how many these hockey players have money going in 17 different directions. So, but I want to get back on the ice. If the Devils do come back, they were playing their best hockey after since Ray Shero got fired, really, is where they started playing the really best hockey. It coincides with Mackenzie Blackwood playing his best hockey, and I think it does have a lot to do with that. But they were winning games, and that's the bottom line. So I want to ask you, Joey, from your perspective, from a national perspective, do you think what the Devils were doing was something they could build off of? And do you think that they should make some of their offseason decisions, like general manager and head coach, based on how they were playing before the break?
Well, I mean, look, I'll start by saying, it's always encouraging. I mean, I don't know what it means. I think when you have a lot of young players like the Devils do, and you're getting guys, young guys into prominent roles, and they start to figure it out as the season progresses, I think that's encouraging to me, because you do have some veteran players on that roster too. And, the fact that they didn't fold like a cheap tent, that tells me something. And that tells me that the group cares and that they've got character. And, it would have been easy for them to say, hey, you know what, we're breaking in an 18-year-old kid, and we've got, a bunch of youngsters. And we're going to, PK Subban was one of our marquee acquisitions, and he hasn't worked out. And you could have just felt sorry for yourself as a team. And they didn't do that. And they kept pushing, and they're starting to get results. I got to tell you, with the GM spot, I was surprised, how abrupt it was. With Shero, I mean, he made the Taylor Hall trade, and then was it a month later he was out? But I thought Tommy Fitzgerald did a really good job at the deadline. You look at what they got and what they were able to get for a guy like Blake Coleman, and a lot of the other moves they made. And I thought Fitzgerald did a really nice job out there. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they stuck with him. But you've got a couple of interim guys, and Nasruddin was obviously we're familiar with him in Montreal. And I mean, I think you've got interim guys, so you have to go through the exercise now of maybe interviewing different people and trying to see if there's somebody who fits your vision better than the guys you have in place. So for Fitzgerald, I'm pretty confident that they'd bring him back. I'd be surprised if they didn't. For Nasruddin, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where, again, they were starting to play better, and it coincided with them getting saves. Do they feel like he's the long-term answer? I mean, he's been there, right? He's been there for a couple of years, so maybe they want to go.
Couple of years, yeah.
He's been there. So I mean, maybe they want to give him an opportunity, but I don't know. Like I just assume that Gerard Gallant is going to go to Detroit and reunite with Steve Yzerman. But if he's willing to pick up the phone and give the Devils a phone call or an interview or whatever, I think that's something that they would have to look at too. And then you have to see who else becomes available. So, I mean, I'd be surprised again. I'd be surprised if Fitzgerald wasn't back, just because he seems to do a really good job. But yeah, I mean, with the two interim tags that you have going on there, I think you kind of owe it to your team and your fan base to maybe interview, look around, and see if the guys you have in place are the best for the job.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird. Like the situation is just so odd. I mean, obviously the Devils season would be over well over. It'd be 3 weeks over if everything was normal, and we'd be looking. I mean, we'd know which teams were knocked out of the first round of the playoffs, and which teams of those could be looking at a coaching change. So the pool would obviously be bigger in this normal circumstance. I did bring up, just out of curiosity, since you're a national guy, I brought up the fact that I think that the perfect Devils coach would be John Cooper, the Tampa Bay Lightning coach, and I think that there was a possibility that he was in trouble. I still think there's a possibility he's in trouble. Not now, not after the pandemic, but beforehand. Do you think that there was at all a possibility if the Lightning had another first-round loss that he could become available and go into this insane pool of coaches?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. Again, it's so tough to say, like, because of the pause and all that. And maybe if they did bow out in the first round again, we'd be singing a different tune. I think John Cooper's a really, really good head coach, and the fact that they keep getting bounced earlier than they should, I think that's, he's part of, he was part of the problem in the playoffs, or not. Maybe part of the problem is a strong word, but I thought Tortorella kind of put him in his back pocket in the first round last year. But that's not to say that John Cooper is not he's not a good or great head coach. I think John Cooper's fine. I think he got a short extension in, not too long ago. It seems like forever ago now, but I don't know. It's, again, like Julien Brisebois took over and he's the general manager now. And, he came from, he's in the organization too. So, I'm sure he has a relationship with John Cooper, but at a certain point, again, like we can get back to the Devils too, is, you have to settle on the general manager, and then it should be, if it is Fitzgerald, then, it should be up to Tom Fitzgerald whether Nasreddine gets the job or not. So, I mean, it's kind of a weird time, like you mentioned. I have a hard time envisioning the Lightning with that much talent letting go of a coach who would be snapped up in a second. He's a relatively young guy compared to some of the guys who've been out there a while. They've had a ton of success. I'm not convinced they would have got bounced early, but I picked them to go pretty far last year too, and they didn't do that either. So it's hard to say. But my inkling would be no. I think another early playoff exit doesn't get him fired, but it puts him on really, really thin ice.
So I'm going to switch gears here. We're coming towards the end of your time with us, and you've really opened my eyes to a couple of things, so I really appreciate you coming on. But we have to talk. We've been running this poll for the past 3 weeks, the most hated Devils opponent of all time. And unsurprisingly, he was the number 1 seed, and Sean Avery just destroyed everybody in this poll. Looking back at Sean Avery's career, he didn't really have a long time in the NHL. He really only had those 2 years with the Rangers. He flamed out in Dallas, went back to the Rangers, went to the AHL. It was pretty terrible overall. But how could a guy with such a short time span in the NHL he's still somebody people talk about now. How did Sean Avery just get into the zeitgeist of hockey fans and so hate it so quickly?
Well, the Devils fans more than anybody should know about that. I wonder if you got Marty Brodeur on, what he'd have to say about Sean Avery. But yeah, that's just how much of a pest and how much of a pain in the neck he was. Also, he came out with the tell-all book, and he had the comments about, Alicia Cuthbert and all. Yeah, he made waves. He made waves everywhere he went. And I think that's why, in a short amount of time, he's been like that. I don't really have a great Avery story. Like I've been in their room before when he was in New York, and I remember interviewing him. But there's nothing really out of the ordinary that stands out. But you just the waving the stick in Brodeur's face, and again like the comments about Alicia Cuthbert and all that stuff, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to see. Even now, if you follow him on Instagram, he's chewing out people that are double parked in the bike lanes in New York City. And I get it. It's a good cause, but the way he goes about it is special. So, yeah, I'm not surprised at all. That's why I would have put my money on if I would have made a friendly wager before you ran that poll. But, it's in a short amount of time, he seemed to ruffle quite a few feathers like nobody I've seen before.
Definitely. I actually have a Sean Avery story, Joey. One time I actually, I tell the story all the time. I actually have Martin Brodeur goalie gear, and sometimes I dress up like him for the game. And I actually sat behind the bench, and I think that was the game TSN actually caught me, and I was actually all over Canada when he was with the Dallas Stars. And I think I'm the only one that actually intimidated and actually scared Sean Avery, because every time I try to do something, he just moved on to the other side of the bench, on the Dallas Stars bench. but other than that, I mean, there's numerous stories, and I'm glad you brought up the one in New York, Joey, because that's a strange one about the double park, and then he's on a motor scooter. I mean, he's still keeping his name out there. I don't know how he does it, but he's still doing it.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care what any of us think. That much is clear, and I guess that's why he can push the envelope as much as he does.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Joey, for.
Oh, well, real quick, I just wanted to point out that I know some of our fans, some of the hockey fans, it crosses over with the CFL. And I know, Joey, you're working on this big project on the Montreal Alouettes. I just wanted to give you a real quick opportunity to kind of tell hockey fans kind of what you were working on.
Yeah, man, for sure. So I work for the local all sports radio station here, TSN 690, and I cover not just the Canadians. I cover the Alouettes and the MLS Major League Soccer team, the Montreal Impact. Nobody's really done. I mean, CFL kind of flies under the radar here. It's a little more popular out west, but nobody had ever done the. I saw a bunch of, The Athletic did this a bunch where they gave they listed the best players in franchise history by number. So I decided to do it for the Alouettes. We're 3 parts in. Part 4 comes out on Saturday afternoon, and we're at numbers 30 through 39. So the first 29 numbers are in the books, and so we're doing 10 at a time. So actually we did more than 10 the first week because there was some double zeros and some zeros, but we'll be doing 10 players at a time until we get to 99. And you can get that at joeyalfieri.com. And I appreciate you guys letting me plug that.
Awesome. Like, Joey, say hi to Connor McKenna for me when you get a chance.
Why is that? I feel like it's a good here.
Oh, no. I work with Connor. I actually did some work a long time ago with the Team 990, way back in the day, if you remember that team.
Oh,
that
really?
thing. Yeah. So, but I love Montreal. I love Hurley's Irish Pub. I love the Bell Center. Love the atmosphere. They always welcome me. I have so much respect for people in Montreal. When I got a parking ticket, I actually paid it, even though I could probably get away with it being from the States.
Yeah, you absolutely shouldn't have paid that. You should have definitely just let that one go.
Yeah, but knowing my luck, I would be at the NHL draft in Montreal this year if it was being held, and then suddenly I'm arrested at the border because I didn't pay that parking ticket near Hurley's, and the only reason why I didn't want to, I was too lazy to feed the meter, and that's another story for another day. So, sorry about that, Joey. Going off tangent.
You won't get away with anything around there, man.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you, Joey. Thank you for coming on. I hope to have you back.
Absolutely. Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's Joey Alfieri from NBC Sports Pro Hockey Talk. Great guy. He sounds like a great guy from the 514 area code, doing stuff with TSN 690. Very well-rounded. Loved. I knew it that he was going to be a great guest when he picked up the phone, and I felt the Montreal vibe. Amanda Stein's from Montreal. She was on the Team 990. She had her Sunday show. I remember walking in. She didn't know me then, but, I didn't really know her, but sometimes we crossed paths. And then there's another place. Is it Brutopia? I think it's next to Hurley's. Something like that. But, yeah, Montreal's fun.
Sounds familiar. I've only been there I went there for my bachelor party. My bachelor party was in Montreal, so I only know it from that weekend. But Montreal was probably, me and my wife travel. I mean, we used to travel quite a bit. And Montreal was probably one of the more fun cities I went in. You have to time it correctly because we tried to do one of the more popular strips where it's like 3 or 4 blocks of just restaurants and bars going over.
Mm-hmm.
But we tried to do that on Sunday night, and literally, like, we went to empty bar after empty bar. It was still fun. You know, when you're hanging with the boys, you can make a good time no matter what you're doing. But you know, it was just funny. It was just like yesterday we were out, and you know, we went to a speakeasy, and there was all this craziness going on, and the next night empty. And you're like, where did everybody go? It's crazy. Montreal's crazy though. It's so much fun.
Let me tell you something. Back in the day, I don't know if it's still there. I was told to go to this place called Cosmos for breakfast on a Sunday after a night of drinking alcoholic beverages, on a Saturday night, and it was a line. It was a line, and by the time you get there, I was told it was the best breakfast place up in Montreal. You get there, it's like this old Greek place. It was such. I don't want to say this in a bad way, but it was such a dive and dump, which made it great. Like they had jelly. You asked for jelly, right? Instead of just giving you like these little jars or whatever, you sit at a stool. No, on top of the refrigerator, they had like a jar of jelly that was open with a knife in it, and they just take it up from the refrigerator and just plop it right down. Here's your jelly. And then there was one stool. It didn't actually have like something to sit on. It was just a shaft. And then right next to it was an old telephone book where you put on it and you use that as your seat. And that was Cosmos up in Montreal. It was a good place. Good place. The food was delicious, by the way. It was delicious.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it hits the spot. I mean, there's a line. Like you wouldn't figure like everybody lined up. You know what? I wish we could get Joey back on. I'd ask him. Have you ever gone to the old Cosmos back in the day near? I think it was somewhere near what's that school? The famous McGill, I think, up in Quebec or Concordia. Okay. I forgot where, but
I know Concordia. I don't know, but anyway, either way, we went on a Montreal tangent. That was an interesting turn. This podcast has been all over the place, and we've been hitting on everything. We're just glad to be entertaining the people, and it's been now. When was the last game? Was that March 10th, something like that? We're now going 6 or 7 weeks without hockey, and this podcast has been going very strong. I believe we had a guest, if not every week, maybe we've missed one, but we got the hockey guest coming on, still giving us the insights, still giving us all the information that we really need. And, and then we get the Fun Sam stories. You got to love the Fun Sam travel stories.
Oh, yeah. Omar, I think he's from Montreal, I think. Let me know, Omar. He's shout out. Yeah, you know what? I got to do a Sean Avery podcast. Like I have to, like, there were some stories. I forgot who it was. I think it was Kyle McKenna that said that in itself is one podcast right there. But stuff we used to do, before games, Sean Avery, to try to annoy him as much as we could. I mean, that's a story in itself. I just got to find pictures and videos just to, verify what I'm saying, what we did. But also, my stories in Montreal stays in Montreal. But, it's good to hear a Montreal voice. I mean, it's such a friendly city. Great to see a hockey game. And, it was a great guest. And also, I just want to, before we get to play the game, Nick, I just want to let the listeners know, and I can't really reveal behind the scenes stuff, but one of the things, right before the pandemic or right after the pandemic, after things got shut down, you and I had a conference call and we said, we're going to aim high with guests. And I told you the list of names that I was working on. Would you say that's like shooting for the stars? Out of the Milky Way kind of guess, like you got that guy on or woman? Would you say that?
We're definitely working on some very big names. The problem with big names, Sam, though, is when you go after the big names, it takes time and effort and work to get those big names. And I remember you telling me the amount of effort you put in to get Doc Emmerich on this show. And I got to commend you for just how much you put into it and the never stopping, never giving up on it. And you don't hear Doc Emmerich even on, I loved having Greg Wyshynski on, but you don't hear Doc Emmerich go on his show. You don't hear Doc Emmerich go on a lot of the national shows. And I listened to almost all of them. And I didn't mean to single Greg out. This had nothing to do with Greg personally. He was the first guy that came into my head because he was somebody who was on a show a couple weeks ago. But, he's not somebody who jumps on a lot. And then Ken Danico, he's the Devils guy. I get that. But he's also a national NHL network guy. So you get that insight as well. And we're still shooting for the stars. There's still a ways for the Sunday show and for our show to go as far as guests. Speaking of which, before we do the game, we got to talk. You did Hall of Maven on Sunday.
Yes,
Hall of Maven. Hashtag Hall of Maven on Sunday. We got to get this man in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why this is taking so long, and I don't know why the Hall of Fame hasn't responded to my credentials, not my credentials, my requests. I need Stan Fischler in that Hall of Fame. It's not much to ask. It's just getting him to his rightful place. So I know a couple minutes before the podcast, they announced that they're canceling the 2020 Hall of Fame for ceremony for baseball. Obviously the Derek Jeter one. I know you were looking forward to that one. Maybe we'll end up postponing the 2020 NHL one, and we can push it next year, and that gives them a whole nother year to get Hall of Maven going. Get this man in the Hall. I mean, everybody who's ever watched MSG would be behind this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every hockey historian that's out there, or hockey statistician, or anybody that has worked for Stan Fischler would do. And you know what? And we talked about on last Sunday about does this podcast have enough influence? Who knows? But there's one thing certain: it's got to start somewhere. The movement's got to start somewhere, and I challenge our listeners and viewers.
Greg Wyshynski got John Scott in the All-Star game. We could get a deserved fellow.
Yes.
One of the best that's ever done it in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is made for people like Stan Fischler. So, we just got to be persistent.
Yep. And also, I would just like to add, Stan Fischler did it right. He did it right. I mean, he has an influence on other reporters for generations. Those are the people that have an impact on the game. And we're talking about builder category. We're talking about actual builder, because part of the game is the storytelling. It's the journalism. It's how
There's nobody who can pull back from the 1920s and tell you what happened. Like Sam, that's insane.
Yep.
We look at him as the Devils guy. The Devils have only been around since '82. This man has 60 years of knowledge before that. Like, it's we
forget.
We got to get it done.
Even if you take away the longevity, the knowledge itself is more like an ounce of his knowledge is more than like all of us combined, Devils fans wise. And more than just knowledge, but the way he conveys it, like when back, Matt and the Maven, you hear these stories, but the one famous interview he did, and New Jersey Devils fans should be very appreciative of this, is when he put Gary Bettman, the NHL commissioner, on the spot. Is this team moving?
Yeah,
and I mean that what I would say, even though Stan had the credentials or whatever, you put your career on the line to be tough.
Yeah, Bettman can make people go away if he wants to.
Yeah.
And that's just the respect.
And
that the Maven can do that.
Also, the Maven, he does this very well, and I admire this. He's not the story. He just tells the story. He writes about the story. He reports the story. And that's the kind of journalism, sports journalism, that is so rare nowadays. I mean, there are great journalists, hockey journalists out there, but I'm just seeing just the way the media is, it just starting to shrink. That breed. And the most amazing thing, at 88 years old, Stan Fischler's pretty funny on Twitter. I mean, he gave us a shout out. Thank you. Thank you. And he did it with Stan Fischler humor. And it meant the world to us because we're supporting him and he's acknowledging it. To me, that was like, all right, a legend in the hockey historian world, journalists, just acknowledging it and using Twitter to do it. I thought that was awesome. That was certainly a surprise. We weren't aiming towards that, but that was really cool to do that. So hopefully,
and that's the thing for him to react so quickly too.
Yeah, and hopefully we can use our platform and our technology to bring him into the Primetime Radio virtual studio where we do all this, right? So, but I should probably get our next guest on to play the game, shouldn't I?
You should. Did I send you his number?
No, you didn't, but that's okay.
No.
Yeah, but I'll stay on as long as I can.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things where I definitely I pulled it up to where I have his number, and then I closed it before I sent you his number. So.
Well, I was also asking you pronunciation questions, asking how your day was. I was a little bit distracted. And by the way, Felony Strutter on YouTube criticized my Ken Klee jersey. Let me tell you something. Ken Klee, when he came to New Jersey Devils, he had a slow start, but I stayed behind him. He outscored Jaromir Jagr in the first round when the Devils swept them in 2006. In the Stanley Cup playoffs. So don't talk smack about Ken Klee. He's an American-born ice hockey player. One of these days, we got to get Ken Klee on the podcast.
You do. But speaking of getting on the podcast, go get David on the podcast, and I'll talk about you talk about Ken Klee in that interesting series he had against Jagr in 06. We got to talk. Steve Palumbo for Pucks and Pitchforks put together a really interesting story. Now, I remember Grant Marshall on the Devils. I don't remember the miraculous run in 2003 as well as I guess I would have hoped. But, Steve Palumbo on the Pucks and Pitchforks really did a nice job breaking it down. Just how he was brought on the Devils. It was kind of a ho-hum move. And he ended up just going insane in the playoffs. Played every single game and scored in bunches. So that's something that's on pucksandpitchforks.com. He's been working on a couple of these. I know he also did one on Valerie Selapukin, which is one of the first players I really, really liked on the Devils. So that was fun to edit and read that one, the Valerie Selapukin piece. So, we're diving into a couple of different things on Pucks and Pitchforks. We're diving into some free agency stuff. And we're really diving into the history right now. We're really leaning into what we can do or what we've seen and a couple of the fun little lists and things like that. I know Vinny's just been hitting all the news. Vinny Parisi's been hitting all the news that you could possibly get. And, me personally, I've been working on a couple things. I did the thing on the most hated New Jersey Devils opponents. We did the bracket challenge, and then we turned it into a nice little article. But we got a lot of really fun stuff. We're focusing on fun on Pucks and Pitchforks because you have enough annoying things in your life right now, and we don't want to remind you of that. We could only talk about so many different scenarios of return to the NHL. So we just put a lot of fun stuff on the Pucks and Pitchforks website. Sam, you're back. Are you game ready?
I've got my game face on here. Let me just work on it a little bit. See, on the Facebook Live feed, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. But Dave is one of my favorite contestants. Not because I'll beat the pants off of him. He's just an all-around nice guy and the definition of fun. On the Nova Product Design Hotline, we have Dave Leibowitz, the Pucks and Pitchforks blog. He's a contributor. You can find him at Leibowism. Dave, welcome to the game.
You said so many nice things, I'm going to overlook the fact that I've beaten you more than you've beaten me.
You know what, Dave?
Hey, where's the beef?
Yeah, that's right. Where's the beef? Anyway, Nick. Why don't you get this game started?
All right. So today's game is going to be fun. So I really like this game because it really pits you two against each other, and there's no excuses because you both have a shot at it. So it's a variation of a game that they've actually played on Puck Soup. It was the Schlemko game that they play, but it's kind of like it's basically just categories. I'm going to give you a category, and you'll go back and forth naming people in this category until somebody can't remember somebody in that category. I probably explained it a lot more complicated than it is. Did I not?
Yeah, well, let Dave go first since he's so chummy and beating me.
So the first category is Devils who have scored goals in the Stanley Cup Finals. So how this is going to work, and there's no prompts by me. You keep going until I tell you to stop, and that means somebody got it wrong. Is that Dave will say one, and then Sam will say one, and then Dave will say one, and then we just go back and forth until somebody gets it wrong. I will time you to make sure you don't take too long. So, first category, Devils players who have scored goals in the Stanley Cup Finals. Dave, are you ready?
I sure am.
Sam, are you ready?
Ready. Now, just to clarify, it could have been any Stanley Cup Finals?
Sure.
Okay.
But, I mean, they had to play for the Devils at the time.
Well, of course, yeah. But
I didn't know if you were like,
it could be
whatever. Jaromir Jagr played for the Devils, but he scored in the So,
okay.
All right, Dave.
Yep.
You go first.
We're going to start with Jason Arnott.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he scored a goal in the Stanley Cup Finals. So yes, Jason Arnott is one.
Oh, is it my turn?
Sam?
Or is it Dave?
Yeah, you just go. Just go.
Okay. Ken Danico.
Yep, Ken Danico scored in the 2000 Stanley Cup Finals.
Game 1. Yep.
Ken Danico scored. Sounds fake. Okay, I am going to say Scott Gomez.
Scott Gomez definitely scored in the 2001-2003 Stanley Cup Finals.
Wow. Mike Rupp.
Mike Rupp scored in the 2003 Stanley Cup Finals.
Okay, Patrick Elias?
Yeah, he scored in 01-03 and 2012.
Zach Parise.
He did score in 2012.
Lemieux.
Claude Lemieux scored in 95.
Sergei Brelin.
He has to be on here.
It's 95 game 4. Yeah.
Yeah, he scored in 95, 2000, 2001. These aren't in ABC order. These are in year they scored order. So I'm trying to go through. But yeah, no, you're good. Dave, who do you got?
Okay, so you just said Sergey Brylin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to say Scott Niedermayer.
Ah, you took it.
Yep, he scored in 95 and 2000.
Let's see here.
5 seconds.
Crap. Oh, shut up. Bobby Holik.
Bobby Holik scored in 95. I thought he would score in 2000, but I guess not. Just 95 for Holik. Dave?
Brian Giunta.
Brian Giunta scored in 03.
John Madden.
John Madden scored goals in 2000 and 2001.
Now we're getting into the tricky areas. I'm going to say Scott Stevens.
Scott Stevens scored and only in 2000, which I found quite weird. But yeah, Scott Stevens is on there.
Huh.
Peter Sikora.
Peter Sikora scored in 2000, 2001.
Okay, so how about, Travis Zajac.
Unfortunately, Dave, that is incorrect.
Oh.
Travis Zajac did not score in the 2012 NHL Finals. Names that you've both missed: Ilya Kovalchuk, Adam Henrique, Alex Mogilny, Randy McKay, John McClain, Brian Rafalski.
I should have said McLean.
And friend of the podcast, Bryce Salvador's epic goal in the 2012 Stanley Cup Finals. Just forgotten about, unfortunately. So, Sam?
Well, yeah, I blocked out my memory of everything past the conference finals, so.
It's fair. It's fair. That's okay. That's okay. But, there was a couple on there towards the end where I was like, y'all really going to forget Scott Stevens? You're going to forget Score, so you got those. All right, so, Dave, you need this one to tie. Sam, you could win it here. Name the players that have scored 100 career goals in a New Jersey Devils uniform. Sam, you go first.
Patrick Elias.
Yeah, that's the low-hanging fruit right there. Is Patrick Elias is on there?
Okay, when you say 100 career goals, you mean 100 goals as a Devil, not their 100th goal when they were playing for the Devils, right?
Yeah, 100 career goals while wearing a Devils uniform.
Okay, you said Elias. I'm going to add Giunta.
Brian Giunta scored 154.
John McLean.
John McClain scored 347 goals.
This is hard for a team that wasn't known for being high scoring. I'm going to say Parise.
Zach Parise scored 194 goals while with the Devils.
Bobby Holik.
Bobby Holik scored 202 while with the Devils. So Holik had more Devils goals than Parise. Interesting.
Very interesting. Zajac?
Yeah, Travis Zajac has 195. One more than Zach Parise. Everybody's better than Parise.
I'm going to take a wild guess here. This is probably going to cost me the game, but I can afford it. Alexander McGillney.
He was only here for 2 years, Sam.
Oh.
Oh, my God. No, that's incorrect. Some of the names that you've both forgotten. Sam, Mr. Knows Nothing Before the Year 2000, forgot Aaron Broughton and Pat Verbeek. And Kirk Muller. Yeah, there's also you also had Scott Niedermeyer was on the list. Randy McKay, Adam Henrique, Kyle Palmieri, Jamie Langenbrother, Scott Gomez, Peter Sikora, Sergey Breland, Brian Ralston. Some of the names you just forgot, Sam.
No, I just
Ralston I didn't expect to be on there. I didn't expect Ralston to be on there, but
I understand McGillney because he was there for a short time, but he was very productive in those years. So,
yeah, he just wasn't there for long enough. He was there for the year and a half, and then they brought him back, and he wasn't as good. But all right, so the tiebreaker here. Name me New Jersey Devils first-round picks since the year 2000. So, Dave, we're going to start with you. Name me all the Devils' first-round picks.
Since 2000.
Since 2000. So
okay,
the 2000 draft up until here.
Okay, let's start with the funniest one and say Stefan Matteau.
Stefan Matteau is on there. He's also not the funniest one. There are some funnier ones that you are like, who is that? It's kind of funny. But yeah, Stefan Matteau is on the list.
I'm using my advantage because Dave is a little bit younger, so I'm going to save those. I'm going, with John Quenneville.
John Quenneville is on the list.
Quenneville, okay. I'm going to say Jacob Josephson.
Jacob Josephson, number 20th overall pick in 2009. I believe he's in Sweden now.
Yep.
Mikey McLeod.
McLeod is on the list, 2016, 12th overall pick.
Matthias Tedenby.
Is that how you say it? I thought it was Matthias, but I could be completely wrong. But Tedenby is on the list.
You weren't around long enough for me to learn. It's Tedenby.
He was terrible. Sorry. I don't mean to be mean, but anyway, yeah, he's on the list.
Jack Hughes.
Jack Hughes is on the list, Sam.
Well, I'm going to counter that with Nico.
Nico Hischier is on the list. Yes.
No. You didn't say the last name. I'm just.
You
kidding.
don't need
Nico
to.
Hischier there.
Yeah. Travis Zajac.
It's like Travis Zajac is 2004, the 20th overall pick.
Okay. I'm going to add Zach Parise to that.
He was the year before, 2003, back when Lou was good at the draft thing.
I'm debating if I should pull one out of my hat, but I'll say David Hale.
David Hale was the 2000 first-round pick, 22nd overall. Terrible.
I've got one that I got in my pocket, but I'm trying to. I'm gonna say Aria Honen.
No, I think he was before that time.
No.
Yes.
That is incorrect, David.
It's before.
No.
It's before. Oh, can I steal it? Can I steal it at least? I got a good one. Adrian Foster.
Yep, 2001. Is that the worst one? Is Adrian Foster the worst one?
Adrian Foster's the worst one. Yep, has to be the worst one.
He's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, he was a hit or miss, but it was just injury prone. Apparently he was rated higher than Danny Heatley or something like that. That was the scouting report. Yeah.
But at least Carente was terrible too. But at least Berg Force at least got us Kovalchuk for that hot minute. And, but David, you still had Zaka and Ty Smith on the board.
Zaka. Oh, I'm sorry, Tyler. I'm sorry I forgot about your special boy.
Yeah, Tyler. And you forgot about 1-for-1, Mr. 1-for-1, Adam Larson.
Adam Larson, yeah.
I think Sam got in your head by naming these really terrible picks.
I'm trying to remember when Ahonen was drafted, though. Was it 99?
I'd have to look it back up. It's one of those, because I think it wasn't 98 Gomez and the other guy that they picked right next to Gomez, but I don't think it was
Van Ryn.
Yeah,
Mike Van Ryn. Yep. I think
that was
99 could have
right?
been. Yeah, 98. 99 was. It could have been Ahonen. I don't remember. And then there was another guy.
You relinquished the crown to Sam. Sam is going to hold this over your head until you return to the podcast to defend, or I guess you're now offending the title.
Hold on one second.
I'm not sure if that's the right word, but
I just want to just say, Dave.
yeah, yep. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, that's how it goes here on the State of the Fan Address.
It's okay.
You gonna plug
it's okay.
anything? Is there anything to plug?
I do have something to plug, which is my next Devil's Weird History article. I'm aiming for sometime next week, and it's going to be about the Forgotten Devils mascot, Slapshot the Puck.
Ooh.
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Actually, Dave, in all seriousness, I know personally the guy before that quote unquote incident. He was not the guy, so maybe I could introduce you to him. He's very busy, but I'm sure he could shed some light on the history of it, because what he told me was awesome. But there's one history that's not so awesome. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that would help you on your research. So, but I will contact him.
I'd be grateful for that.
Yeah, because he was there in the way beginning of his franchise. Yep, he told me the whole story behind that, and give you some good insight.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Well, yep. Glad we asked.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. Well, thank you for playing the game, and hope to have you on soon. All right, bud?
All right. Thanks for inviting me.
Yep.
See you, Dave.
Dave Leibowitz, Pucks and Pitchforks blog contributor, helping the kid out with a little research. Actually, I'd be happy to do it. Just hopefully he has, some time to help the guy out, because I think it will help the Pucks and Pitchforks blog analytics when the jaw-dropping stories behind the scenes of Slapshot the Puck. Now, Slapshot Puck did make it. The costume did make it about 5-6 years ago in a Devil's viral video. I think they were doing something, the Harlem Shake, and I was like, "Isn't that Slapshot the Puck in the back?" It's just probably some Devil's intern that thought it was just a hockey puck, costume. I'm surprised it's still. You know what? I like to buy it off the Devils, that costume.
It is so unfortunate about what the ending of that. I'm sure Dave will get into it, but because there's so much fun stuff they could do, especially with the media team. We talked to Chris Westcott last week. Media team's getting creative. I bet you they could have done something real fun with that with NJ Devil, who is, I think NJ Devil. It's and you'll like this, Sam, but I think it's either NJ Devil or Mr. Met is the best mascot in sports. But they just do such a good job. That's somebody, NJ Devil doesn't talk, so it'd be hard to get him on a podcast. But maybe we could get him doing one of those video chats. He could do some sign language for us.
Well, the person I was talking to about also came back a few years later after that incident and was NJ Devil as well. And there's photos of it. he could tell. I should reach out to him. Maybe we'll, maybe once that article comes out and Dave completes it, maybe we'll have them both on the podcast potentially.
Yeah, I'm down for it. I'm down for it, Sam.
Yeah,
let's go for it.
About the legend of Slapshot, the puck, which I mean, it was a great costume, but NJ Devil. I've moved on. NJ Devil had personality, all that jazz. Hey, it was a great podcast.
Are you saying he broke the glass ceiling?
NJ Devil? Well, NJ Devil at the All-Star game had the hardest slap shot a few years back. The hardest slap shot. I think it was clocked at 81 miles an hour, believe it or not.
I've seen him throw them T-shirts. He's got muscles.
Yeah, and I could tell you the backstory on that, but yeah, the NJ Devil can really skate and can really play the puck, but I'd rather not reveal that the secrets, so to speak. But yeah, it was good. It was good. Good to talk to Dave. Great podcast. We titled it Hockey Talk, but we did go off tangent. But there was some good hockey talk. But Stan Fischler, you know what? We're gonna do something, Nick. We just got to get on it, and figure it out. But he is one of many guests that we're aiming high during this period, and we just want to thank everybody for joining in to the State of Fan Address on the Let's Go Devils Podcast Network. Now, what's up coming up this weekend with Pucks and Pitchforks?
Oh, I got a couple of things working where I'm going to focus a little bit on the draft, look at that 17th overall pick, see who the Devils might take there, and then I got a couple other pieces coming up. Still got some wood on the fire for them, so those are going to be just end up being surprises because I got to make sure that they fall into place. But definitely have a draft article up this weekend.
All right, great. Well, thanks for everybody tuning in. We'll be back next Wednesday, State of Fan Address. Nick and I say so long, and until next time. Oh, I hate it when that music just does not cue in correctly. Sorry, Nick. Till next time, Devils fans, let's go Devils.